Look at this. You know how cool that is? Just huge thank you to my sister Amara for getting me merch, my own set of merch for Christmas. That is just hugely amazing, and I thank you so much for doing that for me. Like, it's amazing. It's so cool. Obviously I'm not big enough to even try to consider selling merch at the moment. Let alone have people who would be interested right away in buying them. Like I'm saying, it's like I'm not in big numbers right now, but just the fact of having something like this is super cool, and I have to thank you so much for having this made, and it's probably one of the best Christmas gifts I've ever received. So, shout out to my sister. Thank you so much for that. Okay, guys, so I've been meaning to get to this for quite some time. Happy New Year, by the way. It's 2019. There's a slew of amazing movies set to come out, and of course I'm going to make a most anticipated list. And as for this video, this is going to be the best films of 2018 to me, top 10. I had some runners-up, of course, that I would have loved to make the list. I'll tell them before I get to number one, but I'm just going to run through. These are not individual reviews of the movies. I'm just going to explain why I settled for this being in the top 10. And mainly I judge the movies based on how I feel, and rewatchability factor really factors in. So if I'm watching a really intense drama, of course it's amazing, but I don't think I'm really going to want to revisit something that just really deeply saddens me, you know? So versus something that I find so entertaining and moving, but it just is something that I feel really good watching this, and I want to feel that again and again. So we're gonna get into the top 10 films of 2018 for me. First up, I have Bumblebee. Bumblebee, I was shocked. Was so good. I mean, it was fantastic. Had such a great time. Truly is the best Transformers movie made to date, and it's just such an amazing chemistry of Haley Steinfeld has with this Autobot that doesn't actually exist in the real world, but she really sells the believability, and it was such a fun time to actually have properly done Transformers. I mean, it's the Gen 1, so they look fantastic, and I just the way the sound effects were going, and just the way the movie emotionally moved me. It had a real E.T. vibe going, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. So that being said, I was happy that it not only cracked my top 10, but it stayed in my top 10, and I love that so much. I can't wait to own it. Next up, number 9, I have Black Panther. I don't know if this is still going to move for me or not. I was watching it earlier just to get a refresh. Do I really believe it should stay where I have it on the list? And yeah, I think it definitely belongs up here, because Black Panther is it's so well done. Just from the detail in the filmmaking aspect of it, it was amazing. And it really is just I love grand royal films. It was so well done. It's so intriguing, and it's a film that I just watch and I can't help but smile at, just in terms of the scale, the scope, the culture and environment behind it. It's beautiful, and Black Panther is seriously just a phenomenal film that I'm happy we not only got, but that we can continuously watch for years to come, and I'm excited to see what more we can get from stories with T'Challa. Number 8, now this may get a little controversial now, because apparently people were kind of mixed. Overall positive reaction came out of this, but people were kind of iffy on it. So it's Halloween 2018. I did watch the original the same day right before going to see it in Dolby Cinema, which was great, and actually did end up seeing it again on Halloween night in IMAX, and that was really great. So I did see the film twice to support it, because I was thinking back on the film okay, does it really hold up? I know I was caught in the magic in the season of Halloween, and the fun factor that it brought, but then I was thinking, okay, does it really stand to be up in the top 10? And then I was thinking about key scenes that I really enjoyed. Was there one thing that I wasn't too cool with that I would have changed? Sure, but that's not a big deal. It really isn't, because when I was thinking about the films, the way Jamie Lee Curtis' performance was phenomenal, and just the story going with her post-traumatic stress, really, with Michael Myers after 40 years, and now it's finally back. She has to confront that, and the way it's confronted, it's phenomenal. I love it. I instantly bought it as soon as it came out in 4K because, seriously, Halloween is just like an exhilarating ride that has stellar music, really good suspense, and I think it definitely stands with the original. I really do. I honestly believe that. Number 7. Again, we're going to get a little uneasy here because apparently a lot of people weren't on board with this film and they were confused by it and thought it was too confusing for having too many story beats. And that film is Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. Me personally, I do like heavy plot. I don't think it bogs down a film. I think it makes it more intriguing, at least for me. And I'm sure it was... it was layered with so many characters, but I genuinely liked all the characters and their stories and where they were coming from. I understood everything that was going on. I did. And it's not just because I'm a super fanboy. I can't, like, spout out huge, nerdy Harry Potter facts. Like, I'm a huge fan of the films. I have not sat down to read the books, but I know that I grew up with this franchise of films that I love, and I was really enthralled by Fantastic Beasts, and I liked Crimes of Grindelwald even more than the first Fantastic Beast, even more than a couple of Harry Potter films. And I know that sounds like crazy to a lot of you, but I was just intrigued. I love the creatures, I love the character of Newt and Jacob, Queenie, and just like all of them. They're just, I love these characters. I love Johnny Depp. Just from judging his performance, I thought it was great and refreshing that it wasn't just like an over-the-top kooky performance, but it was like a serious, menacing in a way of how calm he is. I was pleasantly surprised by it, and I did see it twice. I saw it in IMAX at an opening fan event, and I saw it again in Dolby Cinema. It was such a great time, and yeah, I can't wait to own it. Number 6, the last movie I saw of 2018, and that is Aquaman. Now, I know this also because like people were like, hey, Aquaman turned out great, and then more and more things came out like, okay, Aquaman ain't that good. And which was inevitable because, it's a DC film, and I know it's not just because it's DC hate. I know it's because like people are actually criticizing the film, and I completely understand that. I get it. I agree, you should do that. But for me personally, I got what I got with Black Panther, which I love the royal aspect and the story, and I just found it a lot more engaging. Maybe it's because it's newer, that could also be it. I saw it in IMAX 3D. It was shot phenomenally. The film looks incredible. Of course, James Wan did a great job. But I do also believe that the film was really good. Like the story and just the characters. I cared about the characters a lot. I love the music. I love the motivations of characters, especially with Black Manta. It was great. I love Aquaman. It's the most I've ever loved him. And he's probably my favorite DC character now in the DCEU. Seriously, it's just Jason Momoa did such a great job, and I know I'm not trying to make him big reviews. Just like I watched the film, and despite how long it was, I had a great time, and I can't wait to see it again. I do want to go and see it again in IMAX, possibly again, because the IMAX shots, the movie was shot 90% that way, and it was really entertaining. Now, I do believe the film will hold up outside of the IMAX, but I do hope they keep the shots in. I hope James Wan has a way of getting them on the Blu-ray. He might have said that in the past, I'm not entirely sure, but I really hope that happens, because Aquaman was such a fun ride. It was really fun. That's what I got from it. It was just so entertaining. The creature designs were beautiful. I had such a stellar time, and yeah, I did have it at my number 6, so that is where it is. Alright, here we are, top 5. Incredibles 2. This is actually interesting because a lot of people were like, hey, finally an Incredibles sequel, and it came out, it's like, yeah, awesome. But then more things came out. Primary thing was the villain wasn't as good, which I agree with. But also, like, how are you going to top Syndrome? You really can't. So I didn't really judge the film on the villain. Kind of like early Marvel movies. They were primarily focusing on the heroes and how they're dealing with their situations, and while there's a threat in the way. So looking at it from that aspect, I liked it. But then, like, more and more criticism started popping up about Incredibles 2, and I was like, okay, does it really, like, stand to be where I originally had it all year at, like, my number 2 spot until recent releases? Maybe. I think it did. I did recently, as I was about to record, I did bump it down before the next film, because I do believe it's deserves to be higher. But Incredibles 2 I love because not only did the film look incredible, pun intended, but really I just was fascinated with just the dynamic of the characters, how Bob Parr has to like, you know, he wanted to revisit the glory days of being a superhero again in the first film, and like now there's a chance to get that back, but first he has to have his wife do it for him first, and he has to take care of the kids, which he's not used to. That was interesting. Violet's whole thing, she's probably the best character in the movie, just to follow what she's going through, like that is so entertaining. The concept of Jack having so many powers and what that introduced, having to deal with that was really good. Just all the different things, I loved it. And seriously, the best part was probably just like the fact that Violet finally understood what her father was trying to do and just gives him that hug, and yeah, he like falls asleep, which is funny, but like it's just like he was so committed. And that's awesome. It's seriously, it's a really feel-good film, and it's shot super well. Like, it's animated, so yeah, you can make whatever shots, but like, it feels like a real film. I love that, and that's just why I think Incredibles 2 belongs here. And not only did I anticipate it for so many years, and did it deliver, I think it's that good. Okay, number 4. This is interesting. It's Mission Impossible Fallout. There's a slew of reasons, one of which that surprises me is because I'm not super like long-term attached to the Mission Impossible films. I only recently watched them this past year, all of them. The Blu-ray and digital combo pack came out, and they were on sale for $20, all 5 Mission Impossibles, and I watched them all, and I had a great time with all of them. Like most people, 2, my least favorite. Still some cool things in it, but yeah, obviously it's the lesser. And then as I was watching, I just felt like every Mission Impossible film got better. 1, okay, yeah, 2 is at the bottom, then 1, and then I had 3, 4, 5, and 6 definitely is at the top. It's so well done. Like, it's one of the best action movies I've ever seen, and a lot of people agree with that. It is just so well done. I love watching the character of Ethan Hunt and just the scale they had. The IMAX shots were beautiful, and they were included on the Blu-ray. Thank you, Christopher McQuarrie, for doing that. It's just, this is such a mind-blowing film. The sound design is amazing. I saw it in Dolby Cinema and IMAX. It was my first ever Dolby Cinema film, so that was really cool. I have a whole video on that, comparing the IMAX to Dolby Cinema on my channel, which is really cool, so if you want to check that out, you can. The film blew me away. It blew my socks off. Like, I boosted it so far up to the top because I knew it deserved it, and I rewatched it a few times, and it still belongs there. And I love that as long as a film it is, and how packed it is, it's engaging the whole way. And for that reason, it definitely belongs up here at my number 4. So, yes. Okay, top 3. This film, when it came out, stuck at my number 2 for a long time, and I didn't think anything could beat it other than what my number 1 is. Bohemian Rhapsody. I love Queen so much. It's an obsession. It really is at this point. I'm just like, I'm so intrigued by Freddie Mercury, and this movie really made me intrigued by the entire band, of course. Like, I love Brian May, Roger Taylor, John Deacon. Freddie Mercury, of course, you know, him just being such a huge personality, he stands out the most, and this film just like personified my love for it. Like, Bohemian Rhapsody, I know like a lot of people were kind of wishy-washy on it, critics anyway, because they just wish like some things were tackled a lot more, and I completely understand that. Like, I would love to watch more of those things. I would love to watch an 8-hour cut of Bohemian Rhapsody, even like a rated R cut. Yeah, sure, anything like that, it would work. Probably, I think it's good, but I love that, and I know it's what the filmmakers were intending, because like they explicitly stated in multiple interviews, this film was made to celebrate Queen, and I think they did that very well. Yeah, there's a few off-key facts that happen, like when Freddie reveals he has AIDS. He wasn't diagnosed at that point in time, it was later. It's obviously for like a Hollywoodized emotional impact, and I get that, and yeah, that's off, but I think when considering where they intended to end the film, like where they did and how amazing they were at recreating Live Aid, it just like, it all fit together finally, and I loved it. I really did. Rami Malek is incredible, one of my favorite actors, and he delivered one of the best performances I've ever seen, and if he does not win Best Actor this year, I've lost all faith. I've lost all faith in the Academy because he deserves it. And the film is just, I love it. It feels so good to watch. I love it. And it's unfortunately sad to watch the downfall of Freddie, but then, you know, he comes back, and it's just like the story of Queen, and it's just, I love it. I love it so much, and it's crazy that I love the person Freddie Mercury so much, and to also know that I was never born in his lifetime. That is so sad to think. But he did leave behind an amazing legacy that was then brought to life through this film brilliantly, I feel, and it's such a favorite. It's probably going to go down as one of my favorite films I will have ever seen, and that is a huge feat, and that's why I have it at number 3. I had it at number 2 for so long, that's why I have it at number 3. Okay, number 2. This film blew up, and it's not slowing down in terms of enjoyment from critics, audiences. It's called progressive and original, and just something that was just a breath of fresh air, and that is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And I will agree, and I'm not just saying it as a Spider-Man fan, this film is incredible. The way they tackle the different things, it's so well done. I love the character of Miles Morales. I've never loved him more. I mean, I played Spider-Man PS4, and yeah, it was great having him a little bit in there, but then I saw this film, and it just blew it out of the water, because Miles Morales is just such an amazing character. Peter Parker, the many ones that there are, because this is the Spider-Verse, the different Spider-Men and women, it's just the way it's tackled, so beautifully done. And yeah, of course it's at my number 2 because it's so beautiful. Phil Lord and Chris Miller are one of the best working filmmakers today, the two of them. Like, they're such a great team, and they just like work so well together. What they are able to do, it's mind-boggling how they can keep delivering hit after hit after hit. One of my favorite movies they've ever made is the Lego Movie, not just because I'm a huge fan of Legos, but it's a great story, and it touched me on an emotional level. This film as well. This film, if you don't cry, where's your soul, man? It's just, it's so beautiful. Like, it's stunning. It's literally a comic book brought to life. It's just, it blows my mind. I saw it at one of the first early screenings, and then I went opening night in Dolby Cinema, and it's incredible. And I do even want to go see it one more time before it leaves theaters, because it's just, I want to give money to this. I love this film. It does so much right. I don't want to say anything more. You need to watch it if you haven't already. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I believe it's the best Spider-Man movie ever made. Yeah, I really do. And I love Tom Holland so much, and I love Homecoming. But this film, it truly personifies what it means to be Spider-Man in a way we have never seen on screen before, and it does it in all the best possible ways. So that's why it's at my number 2. Okay, here's 5 runner-ups for what could have broken through to the top 10 of 2018 for me. Quiet Place. Everything about this film, the way it's just the stories told, the filmmaking, it's amazing. It's so beautiful. A Quiet Place is such a great achievement. Great job by John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, of course. It's so good. It's so good. It's one of the best thrillers I have seen, and it just hits you in the heart. Super well done. Then I had Ready Player One, and yeah, I know it's all pure fan service. I don't care. I love it. I got that Spielberg magic from it. It blew my mind, so many different things. Like when they get to a certain place, like the Shining, and it's like, oh my god, they're actually doing this. Or like, and yeah, spoilers, but yeah, if like they're on the battlefield and then boom, Mechagodzilla comes out. Blew my mind. Oh my god. Can you tell I'm excited for the new Godzilla film? The fact that they were able to bring a Mechagodzilla back on the big screen just makes me want a real Godzilla film. All this stuff is super cool. I love just the virtual world, the Oasis. It's such a fun time. It's one of the best movies I can just put on and just like have an amazing time for a couple hours. I love it. Solo: A Star Wars Story. You know why? Because honestly, this film is underrated. Yeah, it is a bit of a checklist for the Han Solo character. I get that. But just from the aspect of the filmmaking and the fact that they were able to salvage the film, because yeah, they did reshoot it again, and it did bomb at the box office because of the production growing in cost, because they had to remake the film. And would it have been better if Phil Lord and Chris Miller stuck around? Sure, but I think Ron Howard did a great job of making this beautiful Western vibe of a Star Wars story, and honestly, I think it delivered. It just has so much beautiful stuff in it. I honestly do believe that, and that's not just me being a Star Wars fan. If it was me just being a Star Wars fan, it would have been my top 5. Of course it would. This is the first year I unfortunately have to say a Star Wars movie did not make my number 1, or let alone in my top 10 of the year. Seriously, you go back to 2016, Rogue One was at my top. Would I change that? Probably, but yeah, it was. Last Jedi last year was my favorite. Yeah, you're probably going to castrate me in the comments about that, because nobody likes Last Jedi, or everybody likes Last Jedi. It's a whole thing. Internet is just crazy, but I do feel like at least Solo is such a grand time. It's fun, and it has great performances, so yeah, that's just how I feel. Also, I had A Star Is Born. This is another example of a film that I know is super amazing. It's so well done. I openly cried twice watching it. But yeah, that's a reason why it didn't get higher on my list, is because the film really does make you so emotional that you don't want to constantly feel that way. It's the type of emotion where it's like you're really attached, but it's a very sad emotional attachment that you don't want to feel this all the time. Am I gonna own it and watch it again? Of course I am. It'll probably be like a once or twice a year viewing, but I will watch it again because it is so well done. And seriously, Bradley Cooper, Lady Gaga did amazing jobs, and I hope all the best for them in the award season. Of course, all my stuff's going towards Bohemian Rhapsody, but yeah, that's just how I feel. And then, finally, one of my runner-ups was Deadpool 2, because not only do I believe it's better than the first Deadpool, it's such an emotional story. It really is. Like, if you look past the comedy, which, even then, the comedy's really good, there's a lot of heart behind this film. It's a family film, like Deadpool says. It really is. I even went to go to the Once Upon a Deadpool charity screening that they did this past month, where $1 was donated to charity, and they filmed extra scenes with Fred Savage, which was really funny. And even though it was a PG-13 made for TV, edited for TV type of Deadpool 2, I was still entertained because the base of the story was still there, and the emotional beats, and I loved it. And it was intriguing, and Deadpool is a great character. They're doing it right. He's not just crazy, wacky meta humor. There's heart behind the Deadpool films. There really is. So, seriously, go watch Deadpool 2 again if you have doubts about that, and really pay attention to the story with, the love story or the stuff with Russell. Seriously, watch that stuff again, and you tell me it's not an emotional ride. Okay, guys, and that leaves number 1, which is obvious because I haven't said it yet. Of course, it's Avengers Infinity War, and that's not just me being a big fanboy. It's really not. I was thinking about it, okay, am I just being stubborn that Infinity War is just that good? Am I just saying that because it's just such the grand culmination? Partially, probably, but also just looking at it, I was obsessed with this film, and that's probably a fanboy thing too. But then I was just afraid I was gonna get burnt out, but I never got really burnt out. But I did just finally stop myself after watching the film probably 12 times. So I took a break, and then recently, just rewatching some scenes, I was oh my god, this film, it's shot amazing, the detail and the effects are beautiful, the writing is great, and I honestly still 100% believe, from when I saw it to now, that when Endgame comes out, pairing Infinity War and Endgame back to back into one long epic is going to officially be probably considered by me the greatest comic book story ever told on film. I really do. And I know it's part of a grander story, but when you're just talking about the event of Infinity War and Endgame, I honestly believe it's going to culminate in something like that, like the Iliad and the Odyssey. Stuff like that. And I know that sounds very bold statement, but it really is what I believe. Following these characters for 10 years, back in 2008, I didn't even want to watch Iron Man because I didn't like the Armored Adventures cartoon, and that was my first exposure to it, and I was like, no, this isn't going to be good. And really, Iron Man is not only such a great film, it's a very smart film that you wouldn't think would be engaging to like a 9-10-year-old, but I was watching it, I was hooked. I was really hooked, and I went to the 10th anniversary screening in IMAX. I was hooked again. It's so amazing, and just, I love the whole universe, and it's just like the way it's been told, and now it's finally here. It's seriously one of the most biggest cinematic achievements we have ever seen, and they do something very special with this film, and it's only part 1 of 2. And normally I'm not a big fan of the part 1s that come out and you're all about part 2s because it's like setup, not a lot of action, there's some but not a lot, and then big spectacle payoff, which is what you get from films like Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows, even though part 1 and 2 are both beautifully done, even like part 1 probably more so. But you know, you get stuff like that in like the Hunger Games films or the Twilight films, stuff like that, and it's just like they did Infinity War correctly, and it paid off, and I love the film. I really do. It is my personal favorite of the year. Of course, like, superheroes mean a huge amount to me, so that is the reason, but yeah, it's just super well done, and I cannot wait to see what's next. And those are my top 10 films of 2018. What did you guys think? Were there any films you thought should have been on here that shouldn't have been in the runner-ups, or maybe other films I didn't even mention at all? Let me know. Comments below. If you're wondering about my top 10 worst video, that is coming. It's gonna be weird because I'm never negative ever, so look forward to that. It will probably already be on the channel by the time you see this. So with that being said, guys, if you enjoyed my video, hit the like button, subscribe if you're not already. And that being said, I hope you have a great day. May the force be with you always. Really hope I put the right thumbnail on there.